Hey everyone, welcome back to Mount Schmoedown. We're back, season 3, I think. And my name
Go
is
ahead.
Ben, and my partner is Ryan. How are you doing today, Ryan?
I am doing good. Season 3, man. Woo! Amazed at the journey we've had here. I honestly didn't think we'd do more than maybe 2 seasons.
Me neither, man, me neither. But if you and me, we're here. We have a big show planned. Why don't we get the thing started? Why don't we bring on our first guest?
Yes, let's do it. First off, before we bring on our main attraction, let's bring on the coming attraction. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest, you all know him from our previous shows. He was at the time, he was part of our family for a while, but we could not say no to bring it back. Ladies and gentlemen, John DiGreggio.
Hey, thanks guys for having me back. It's always a pleasure, and I'm glad to be back over here with you guys.
Oh, John, it's always great to have you here, man. I won't lie. Ben and I, we do miss having you on here, but it's still good to know that. I mean, still to know we haven't burned any bridges here. Like, yeah, extend our hand.
No, not at all. Yeah. I'm all in on this one. Let's do it. I'm excited.
All right, yeah. Let's just keep this train going, guys. The next person we're going to bring on, anyone who watches Northern Entertainment Group, you guys know him from his all-night taco stands, which is the name for, unfortunately, about to be changed, and also his shows. Let's talk about Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. Taco, let's bring him on.
Hey, how's it going? By the way, I'm just going to move past this really quick. I have been discussing a lawyer about Kiwi's takeover of the taco stand, and it will be the taco stand. Please wait for further news on that, but don't tell her that.
Well, Taco, unfortunately, I can't believe you said that, because it's just going to make this a little situation a little awkward, because our fifth person on this round table we have here, ladies and gentlemen, you all know her, you love her. She has won an alien game. She is currently about to take over the taco stand. And also, if you guys watched 2 hours ago, you saw her on Schmoedown Analytics with Double D. It is the one and only Kiwi Jess.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh. You better be lawyering up. You better be lawyering up. Don't forget I beat Thomas Harper.
Do you guys even have laws?
I'm not scared of you.
I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid of you.
And wait, I should be clear, Jess, also looking on my notepad, you also did win a Lilo and Stitch quiz on the Video Chronic quiz.
I beat King Khan as well. I am just taking out Schmoedown competitors left and right. You watch me work from the sidelines. Come on.
Well, this is fun, because I swear this is going to be the reason why all of you are wondering why there's so many people on here, because the guest we have needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it anyway, because his career literally has eclipsed, has expanded, and it's pretty much made the Schmoedown into what we know and love. And unfortunately for all of you watching, hoping to see him again this year as a competitor, he just had his last ride last year. But we won't talk about that, because we're here to celebrate. We're here to enjoy having the company. And everyone, if you got cowboy hats or Stetsons, please put them on. I don't, because my head is too big for them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Outlaw, John Rocha.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here on the show. Excited to join you all. Did someone say one last ride? That's right.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
T-shirts available, extra large and large. If you want to get
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on.
Brendan's not even here for John. He's just here.
Brennan.
Brendan Nation already hanging out in here. I like Brendan. He's great.
Yes.
He's right.
Apparently, your second bill, according to Brendan. Jess's first bill.
You gotta color your hair. That's the problem, Rocha. Get colored hair, and you might be able to compete.
I think the accent helps too. I mean,
Absolutely. It's one of the pulls, I think.
Is it? I don't like it.
That's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to.
It's only because
No.
she says your name, Tieko. It's only because she says it like that.
Absolutely do.
Just be glad, Taco, your name's not Tortilla, because then she'd be going, oh, I love tortillas.
I don't know. I've had it heard through some pretty ridiculous accents working with all these Canadians, so it's actually not the worst. I hear a lot of taco is a good one. But anyways, we're not here to talk about tacos. I believe there's a certain career that we're here to break down.
Yes. Well, not just to break down, but also because this is just going to be fun. I mean, all of us, I know we have questions. We all have favorite moments in Rocha's career. And Rocha, let's be honest, you've done a lot. You've been on a lot of after shows. So pretty much any question is not going to be new to you. But maybe just to open this whole thing and break up the ice, I mean, having just your character alone, the Outlaw. I mean, I remember watching that match with your second match between you and Scott Mans, how you were a brand new competitor, just 100% all business. I just loved your mind, actually the mindset that you just had crafting this character. How the process, was it so much fun now that you no longer have to worry about playing the character again?
Oh, listen, it'll always have a special place in my heart because I had no idea the journey that character was going to go on and the different places it was going to take me and the incredible people I was going to meet along the way. It's no coincidence that my outlet is called the Outlaw Nation, because just seeing how it kind of grew from my ups and downs in the game and how the character itself, which was initially so reviled and hated, and so many people thought I was an asshole because I was like interrupting people's interviews and messing with people and dropping these promos that were kind of crossing that line between personal and character. I didn't know where it was going to take me. And I took a lot of hits initially to kind of build the idea of a heel and kind of blaze that path for the game. And so I've been very happy with the ride, but 7 seasons is more than enough. There are some great new competitors who've come in the last couple of years, and I'm excited to see what they can do and what legacy they're going to create in the game. Will I miss it? Will I have, kind of those pangs of wanting to play? Sure, I'm a competitive person. That's always going to be inside of me, but I think I've done more than enough to kind of leave a legacy in this game and be one of the people that they talk about when they talk about one of the greats. So as tough as it is to lay down the hat and take off the boots and get off the horse, it's been a hell of a ride. So, I'm good. I'm good right now. That's for sure.
You actually touched on a question I was going to ask you. Now, if you go back to when it was kind of just like, friends of the channels who are just coming and, Harloff like, hey, do you want to play this thing? And they're not really sure what they're stepping into. And you're already doing a heel character and you're breaking into, really being more intense than what people kind of thought. Was that almost nerve wracking of like not knowing if somebody else is going to get it and you're about to yell at them in a character? It's a character for you. I want to know just how that was of just embracing something before everyone else kind of knew what was going on.
It's a great question. Yeah, Christian Harloff and I, when we had our initial conversation about creating this character, we talked about, what he wanted me to do, right? And listen, this is at the time where I don't have a full-time job at Collider. I'm still kind of making a name for myself. No one's paying me to do anything. I'm driving all over the city, trying to be on as many shows as possible, trying to host as many shows as possible so that I can get my name out there. And then this opportunity kind of presents itself. And it could have gone a number of different ways that were not great for my career or not great for my following. But in the end, it went in a good direction, but it wasn't without, as I said earlier, it wasn't without some of the tough moments. And some of those tough moments are when you're going like, well, I'm going to go at someone like Sam Levine. I'm going to go at someone like Emma Fife, who everybody loves. I'm going to make some comments or make some cracks or Mark Riley, who everybody worships and thinks walks on water. I was like, I'm going to have to go. And then Chasing Dan. I mean, the most revered, loved guy, Dan Murrell.
Someone has to, though.
Right, exactly.
It's the point of the heel. I love me a good heel. That's what got me into the Schmoedown. I've only been in this since like September, and Taco will know because he got me into this, and I just instantly fell for heels. Finstock Exchange is my faction. Just adopted them.
That's right.
And so, so I'm always keen for a heel to be in the Schmoedown. More of them. I want more.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Felt like I created a monster and I was like, watch a Schmoedown. And she's like, I like the Finstock Exchange. I'm like, no, the dungeon. Ah, dang it.
You mean
I
the
mean, you can't-
DONE? You mean the dungeon? Because we put
Hey.
out.
Spell it however you want. I love the dungeon. I don't care if they can be the worst, and I'm still cheering for them. But that's me.
That's fair. You should support your faction that you love. That's for sure. I see
Yeah.
Adam Witt in the chat too, so I'm sure he's gonna have something smart to say. But yeah, it was tough and it was scary at times, and it certainly, you know, I would be like, "Are you sure, man?" And he's just trust me. So it was a combo of Christian and I, him just giving me a couple of pointers or a couple of broad outline, and then essentially tossing me out in front of a camera with a mic to go and mess with people. So there was an element of trust between the both of us. And some of the players didn't like it or didn't take to it and weren't the biggest fan of it, but eventually you had to realize this is the game, and if you weren't going to take part, you weren't going to go far. And so that's just kind of how it all came about. But yeah, it wasn't without its troubles initially with some people who took it too seriously, some of the things I said. So yeah.
My question is this though: was it hard for you to actually turn the character off whenever the lights were off, or
Oh no,
were you
I
able
mean,
to?
I'm a trained actor, bro.
Right.
So like,
Okay,
you know,
okay. I was just wondering.
This is for fun, and
Right.
I loved going there, but I never had real malice. Well, a couple of people later on, but like I never had real malice towards initially, like anybody. Like I didn't have malice towards Mance or towards Makuga or any of those people that I played initially, and even Riley. Like I remember when I beat Riley at Spectacular, I even looked to Julie and I was like, I'm so sorry. I mouthed it because I understood how much effort and time people put in to competing. But yeah. Sorry, John, you were going to say something else?
But yeah, I was just gonna say this though, man. I've been following you since the whole entire thing where you had Team Action spared you. That's of course when you got redeemed into not being a heel anymore.
Right.
But I loved your heel. That's why I was so glued into the Schmoedown, and I also watched the Schmoedown back whenever Christian and them were just doing it basically on the couch.
Right.
And
First season, yeah.
right, and I just love the transformation of the character that you gave it and everything, and you gave it your all every single time. So I just want to say thank you for all the matches and all the memories that you gave me. And when you said that you were retiring, I was like, you know what? He retired on top. This is basically his Wolverine. This is basically his version of Logan walking out saying, I've done it. I've done everything I could possibly do.
Yeah.
But my question is this, though. Was it hard for you to actually walk away, or did you know exactly, you know what, I've done everything I could possibly do, and, you know, now it's time for other people to take the reins that I actually did for this league?
I think it's been a 2-year process coming to this decision. I mean, last year was kind of a tough year, certainly losing to Ethan so close in that match when I could have had a shot at the title against Dan. That was really, that took me 6 months to get over that loss. No lie. I mean, I would wake up in a cold sweat and saying, Boris Karloff at 3 a.m. It was one of the worst kind of, just the beating myself up about it was so strong. But, you know, but at the same time, I was building my channel. And so as things step by step, piece by piece started to come, and I was very fortunate people started to become subscribers and that people were cool with starting shows with me on my channel. I realized, hey, the time that I used to have to study is not there anymore. And being a Collider where you were constantly surrounded by movies, it was almost like you were studying already. And Riley and I would study at Collider all the time. We sat across from each other. So we would go into these like 2-hour sessions while we were at work in between stuff that we were doing to kind of train each other. And I would stay after and train. So there's a different element. Plus my girlfriend. So there's a lot of things that were taking me away from the amount of time that I used to spend getting ready for these matches and giving some great matches. And so step by step, and then we got into this year and it started out great with 3 TKOs, playing with JT. All of it was great. But then during the middle of the year, all this stuff started to come around and started to happen, and doing the reviews, wanting to do more reactions, wanted to do more of these things for my channel. Again, the time was starting to bleed because I edit everything. I do. The only thing that I don't do are my graphics. I'm very happy that Jake Yakavetta and Brian Ward very kind in my graphics, but everything else I do. So it's like there's a lot of time commitment there. So eventually you hit that idea like, hey, I can't give it the respect it deserves. I can't give it the time it deserves. And I don't want to be going up there to just be people getting notches on their belt beating me when I'm not fully committed 100%. Like that would be the worst. So that's when I kind of came to that decision. But I'll tell you this, Recording that Yodi speech took me 2 weeks because I knew once I recorded that I was officially done, like fully done. And I would try to record it, walk away, try to record it, push it off to another day. Finally, on the last day that I could submit it, I just sat down and made myself do it, and I did 2 takes and just edited in 2 takes and then send it off. And that was officially it. And I texted the guys in the Finstock Exchange, and I removed myself from our Twitter thread and said to them, "You guys go and rock the world next season. Thanks. It was awesome." And I'm out, so, and I am out and I'm happily out. It was a great ride. And it's nice to not be worried about studying. Let me tell you that right now.
I have a question. You played since the beginning. Do you have like a favorite season you played in that just worked for you?
It has to be 2016, right? I mean, that's when
Season
that's
3.
when all that stuff happened with the tournament, with beating Christian, with losing to Ellis, but then beating Mark and then beating Dan. So I would have to say 2016. That was the height of the Outlaw 2016, because even still back then, people weren't sure how to take me. Was it real? Was it not real? People booed me. Fans were legitimately upset. And then we had the live event, right, with JT and I. I think that's the same season. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite season when I realized I could do it. Like, you can talk a big game, but once the matches start and the cage door locks, can you get the victory? And going through that singles tournament and getting to all the way to Mark Ellis, losing, but then bouncing back, beating Riley and then beating Dan. And I think we won the tag team titles that year off the Schmoedown guy or Schmo guys. So
You did.
Yeah. So that was a great year. That's my favorite season, bar none, because that's when I realized, okay, I could do this and go next level and be one of the greats in the game. Because Dan was someone I just revered as one of the greats in the game. Yeah.
I think that's about when I realized that you were not like you were something special. You were one of the better ones. Was that first tournament? Because I remember I was watching season 2, the teams tournament, because I was just watching Schmoedown movie show, and then when it, when they came onto the YouTube on its own with the Campia Earl match, and then that first tournament, when you got into like round 2 or 3, I was like, okay, Rocha's something. Like, he's not just another random guy who's walking through the office and them asking, do you want to play? And it was probably at that moment I became a fan of yours. And I remember biking, sorry to do this, I go on tangents, but I remember biking from work to home, and I still lived in the same town I work in. And when you threw the shirt back at Mance, I was watching on my phone on my bicycle biking home, and I had to stop and go, like I was cheering on. Like, or no, he threw it at, however it was. I can't remember who threw it at who, but like that, like, you throw it back at him, but that like heel move, and I was like, screw that cocaine donkey. Like, I was with you throughout that whole thing, and it was very special. That specific time was very special. The building what the game would later be.
Yeah, people forget, right? If I'd lost to Mance, maybe there's no Outlaw, maybe there's no, the journey would have been so much more difficult. But getting that revenge, and it was a close game. And remember, I only beat Makuga by 1 point to get a shot at Mance, so it was close throughout. And I remember Mance was the one, like, Mance, when he beat me in the Bespin thing, remember, he just didn't believe it, that he thought I threw the game on purpose.
Oh no, because they showed that after stuff where he's just like yelling while he's being taken off. I want your best game.
I want your best game. All that stuff.
Your best game.
So there was all this, which I thought was the weirdest reaction. I was just like, "What? Why would I ever throw the game? Are you insane?" And so it just drove me crazy. And then when people forget, like, remember the match Mance had after that? He had us come out, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll stand there as guard or whatever. I'll play the character." And then he brought a Bestman shirt, and I was like, "You!"
Oh my god, that moment!
I remember that.
So I put on the Bestman shirt to be a good sport. I get shit from some of the fans sometimes, but I am a good sport when it comes to
I did recall in that match when Mance made a spin, you advised him to stay with it, but he spun again and he got something he didn't want. It was kind of like, dude.
Yeah, I was trying to help him. Yeah. But so when we did this match, Christian said to me, if you win, don't shake his hand, just walk out. Right? Don't shake his hand. Just do something. And so the improv in me, and some of the best moments of the Outlaw were improv moments in the moment. Throwing the shirt was an improv moment because I'd been waiting. Like I was so mad he gave me that Bestman shirt in a competitive way, mad, not actually mad, you know?
Yeah.
But it was pride. And so I was like, yeah, take that, you son of a. And then I
Yeah,
walked out.
Yeah.
And went right to the camera. I was like, anybody else, I'm coming for you. So it was great, you know.
I mean, it is great, honestly. And I do want to say, I did also like that early. I mean, I came in later on when you and Nos were doing your little revenge tour of top 10, but still, I did get the chance to watch old stuff, like seeing the formation of the Outlaw during that time. Your rivalry with Mance, your revenge tour, you and Nos winning those championships. I felt so pissed off that we watching that stuff. I'm going, why didn't you guys get another defense before you played against the Patriots? What's happening here? But like I said, I was a new fan at the time, so I'm just going, maybe, studio stuff, you had a lot, and also enjoyed watching the top 10 when you guys were on Collider.
Oh yeah.
But I do enjoy like you and Nos as a team as top 10 coming out there, and you guys definitely won me over with the Boomaye top 10. So when you guys were there on stage, I missed the first live show when you beat JTE, when you teased the reforming of the Four Horsemen. Yeah. But I was at the second live show. I was there when you did the whole reveal of the Five Horsemen. It was it
would have been amazing.
Out.
It was insane, honestly. It was so good.
How pumped were you guys for that reveal? You must have been so excited to do it.
That was months in the making because there was so much conversation about who was going to be in the Horsemen. And by the way, I want to clarify this. I have to always clarify this. I pushed for a woman to be in the Horsemen, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's all men, it's all men. I pushed for a woman to be the Horseman, but the storylines didn't kind of align themselves. I don't think Clark wanted to be a part of it, and Rachel wanted to do her own thing, and so we couldn't.
Clark and Rachel were already with Emma at that
time.
Exactly. They kind of already were a thing, and you can't break up the only other faction going on.
Exactly.
And also, as a female, the sake of having a female for the sake of having a female kind of isn't great anyway. You might as well have the best people for that storyline and the best people that are going to drive that, rather than we need to put someone in there because we need that for optics or whatever. I just don't believe in it. I'm like, whoever's best for the job or best for the storylines, it's great.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, it wasn't just to have a woman. I wanted a woman because I wanted us to have a different element to the overall approach to it, and I didn't want to pick any woman. That's the thing. So I certainly had Clark in mind, because Clark can go heal her face whenever she fucking feels like it. And so I was like, this would be perfect.
Clark is a legend. Like, she was a legend then already.
Exactly. Right? So Clark would have been a great addition to the Horsemen, but she wanted to walk her own path, and Christian's never going to force someone to do something they don't want to do in the Schmoedown. And so in the end, there were a number of names bandied about, and Riley, was considering coming back out. Dan was considering coming back out of retirement. And Idman had hassled us for months. He's like, I want to be part of a faction. I want to be part of a faction. And so that reveal, we were able to kind of coordinate that reveal and make it happen. And it's one of the greatest experiences I've ever had on stage. Like, just the reaction. I didn't anticipate. I thought people would cheer, but I didn't know how big. And it was great. And then we revealed Dan, and it went into the stratosphere. It was incredible. I mean, and that's what Dan Murrell can do to any situation, and he elevates it. And so revealing him last was so perfect, just so perfect.
I will say, hearing that, I mean, I was like right near the front, but then when you lifted that hood with Dan, hearing that thunderous cheer from the crowd, it just brought it immediately. Like, I already had goosebumps going around my arm, but it immediately just shot it all the way to where you get that chill. Instead of going down your spine, it ran up my spine. It was just fantastic. But I do see a quick question in the chat. I mean, it's just more of a follow-up. Like what Cena throws out regarding you wanting to get a female. I know you had Clark in your mind. Was there any other woman in the Schmoedown that you considered, or would have
Rachel?
Been a Rachel?
Always. Those were the only two. I think at the time, those were the only two that I really considered in my mind that could be a fun Horseman, because turning Rachel heel would have been incredible.
If she would have.
Right, exactly. I should have gone in the black hair with the black hairnails and on the whole look, and been like,
Like her Hella outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But remember Galadriel grabs the ring and goes dials into the evil side of her that's there. To have made that transition to give her a horseman thing and have a Galadriel turn into the little darkness, it would have been fantastic. So those were the two, because they were just so good at the game. I thought they'd be fantastic to be on the team. Yeah.
Honestly, that would have been great. There was one question that came up earlier in the conversation, but I didn't want to bring it up, but it's in the chat from Galaxy Geeks. They did ask that they felt was it weird retiring during the time when it was online, or did you kind of want to do it like in person in studio?
Yeah, Christian asked me that. He was like, "Are you sure you want to retire? We're still virtual, blah blah blah." And I understood that, but you know, you don't always get to go out the way you want to go out. Not everyone gets the Derek Jeter walk-off single that wins the game. You know, like sometimes you just have to kind of go out when the time feels right for you to go out. And so I just feel, and I couldn't have done another season. I really couldn't have. And so to me, it was like, hey, this is just the timing and the way it works out. And it's virtual, and so be it. But it's my time to go. Well, so yeah, is it sad that I didn't get to do it and have like people cheer while I'm out there? Sure, but I still got that moment at Schmoedown Spectacular.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you got out and playing Merle at Spectacular. I don't know, like it's a pretty good exit.
Yeah. Where's the goat belt currently? Have you got it displayed somewhere? Oh, there we go. Sorry, your shoulder was in the way. Is it going to just remain there for the rest of your life now?
That and the mask. They both stay as the balance. It's the balance of the force there.
Yeah, love it. I love I loved it at being there at Spectacular, seeing how you guys talked about that the goat belt was the old original singles title. Loved so everything. Like I mean, unfortunately, I will say that seeing this match, seeing how much you and Dan enjoyed just being on stage. You guys literally had no care in the world who came out on top, and I was just vibing off of that. And a couple of the people I were with sitting next to me, they were just laughing every single time a question came up. Not because they didn't care who was right or wrong. They were just loving the fact that you had that great entrance. They loved how Emma was on. That you had Emma on stage with you guys. Yeah. It felt really unreal. Like not. I mean, of course, people thought we're gonna get Dan and Merle, but then of course knowing that Mance was watching, seeing Emma on stage, and then of course at the Spectacular, knowing the Wildberries reunited, I'm like, Jesus Christ. If Riley had just popped up on stage and Min had showed up, I'm like, we could have had a good curtain call with you and Dan on stage.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Riley was there too, and I don't know why they didn't kind of work that into to what we were doing. But you know, but it was so much already. You know what I'm saying? Like the entrance. Like I'm no Bibiani. I don't need to do a big old entrance and do all the pyrotechnics. And there's no offense to him. Bibbs loves that shit. I don't need it. I like a simple entrance, playing the right song, high-fiving the people. And Christian pitched me this entrance, and I thought, because I had talked to him years ago. I said, I just once I want to do Eminem at the MTV Movie Awards or Music Awards entrance, where they all came in dressed as Eminem, or the John Cena entrance at WrestleMania when they're
yes.
I was like, I just want to do it once. So he brought it up when we were talking about Spectacular. He goes, remember you told me this years ago, blah, blah, blah. I've been thinking, can you find 4 members of your faction and 4 members of your Patreon, and we will put them in that are going to be there, and we'll put them in the masks or whatever. And I was like, great. That sounds awesome. And so just to delineate myself, there was a black and gold mask, and I was like, wow, I've never seen that. I'm going to wear that. That's perfect, because they're going to be wearing the white masks. Me coming out in the black and gold mask will still separate me from them, but still be a part of them. So yeah, the entrance was great. Emma, the only negative about the situation I thought was that we should have had Emma interview me, because Emma, that's a little old school back and forth going at each other would have been an awesome thing. And in the moment, guys, there's a million things I wish I had done if I had my head straight, but I was so overwhelmed by everything that I couldn't quite get it lined up correctly. And that was even more evidence that I got to go, because I didn't have that competitive fire that I would normally have that inspires me to do shit in the moment. And I would have totally thought, you know what, Jen, give me that microphone. Emma, what do you got to say to the outlaw? It would have been very fun. But I got notes, which was great. What a great surprise. I didn't know if that was going to happen. And Mance was the big surprise. I had no idea Mance was showing up. And so
You didn't?
No clue. There was talk about multiple people showing up, but I didn't know who was going to show up. And then I heard his voice in the fucking gallery.
I'm just gonna say, that's Mance.
Slice. And I was like, oh no.
I still remember my favorite trash talk you ever. I think it was on Movie Talk, where it's like, oh, don't we got a match today? And he's salt and pepper cocaine donkey.
Yeah.
I was watching it at work, and I started howling in the break room, and everyone looked. I'm like, I can't explain what I'm laughing at.
Yeah. You know, because someone had used that as a derogatory thing for him, and so I thought I could use that as a heel. And then of course later he pulled me aside. I was like, brother, can you not use that? Because I'm trying to be. I was like, yeah, no problem. I won't ever say
okay, donkey.
Yeah.
He was using that on himself on Schmo's No Movie Show. He would call himself that.
But, you know those things behind the scenes, and so I was just like, yeah, absolutely, dude. I respect that. Yeah, and I've always been that way. If you've got an issue with anything I'm saying, just come talk to me, and I'll stop saying it, or we'll work around it. I'm always open to that. The ones who have the guts and the balls to come talk to me and have an issue with something I'm saying and don't go behind my back and whisper to everybody else but me, those are the people I respect, and I'm happy to make any changes that I need to do with any promos or anything. Because Scott also asked me to stop mentioning his wife at the time. I had no idea they were going through some problems, some issues, and of course, eventually ended up getting divorced. So I had no idea. And though he said, hey man, I know you mentioned a couple times, because I was doing the Mr. T thing from Rocky 3, and he was like, you do me a favor, don't mention my wife anymore. I'm not mad, just don't do it. I was like, absolutely, dude, no problem.
Well, the goal is never to hurt anyone. It's
exactly.
To be entertaining. And I've been a joking guy my whole life, and I always have to tell people that. Like, if I go too far, let me know. I'm trying to make you laugh. If I'm hurting you, I'm going to apologize immediately. And I'm sure that's a lot of the heel stuff. Is like, as soon as we're done, tell me if I went too far.
And remember, there wasn't a fucking blueprint. I had to create it from scratch and take the chances, go through the walls, and figure out what works and what doesn't.
Now you're the blueprint, though. So
yeah.
A lot of players have actually built off of your blueprint. I mean, of course, when you're putting out your character, you always have good intentions of wanting to write this character down. And there have been moments where, like you're mentioning with Mance, but we've also seen the Schmoedown to where there's been unfortunately some backstage issues. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah.
But even then, like when you're out there, the whole purpose is to entertain. And I will say that you as the heel was good because you did help set the blueprint for so many more coming down. I mean, Andrew Guy, Ben Bateman, they built their characters off of you. And now we have probably one of the most annoying heels we have out of Chandru.
Oh.
And
love it.
Yeah, so Chandru, good.
Chandru is the heel I wish I could be. Like, I'm telling you, no bullshit. No one who came after me, in my opinion, ever made me feel the way Chandru does. Guy and Bateman are like, the Palpatine clones that weren't used, or the Snoke clones. Mm-hmm. That's what they are to me, in my opinion. Kalinowski he blazed a different path as a heel, and him and Chance, fantastic tag team heel guys. The Patriots, great heels, right? Completely different versions.
Way different.
Those are their innate personalities coming through that they're honing a little bit. And having worked with JT and Jeff, those elements are in those guys for real. So it's great to see it come out. But Chandru, because he's such a genius and he doesn't take things personally, he's incredible as a heel. I would really sometimes get hurt if I hurt somebody and I would think about it. But Chandru has none of that. Chandru knows that he's a guy of pure heart who makes these comments and does these things because they're entertaining and they're good for the fans. And when you say, hey, I got a problem with that, he stops doing it. He's got no problem, but he doesn't take it home with him. You know why? Because he's a fucking rocket scientist, man. To him, he works at JPL. He don't give a shit. Movie trivia shit. Motherfucker's a genius. So to him, it's like, this is playtime, And so I love that about him. And that's why whenever people come after him, I have a real hard time with it because he's the purest version of a heel that we've ever seen. And I'm saying that. He's the purest version.
Yeah. And he's doing some incredible things.
And also, he's super good, and that's another thing. Sorry, being a heel is one thing, but if you don't back it up, you become Brandon Hanna. So, like, you have to back it up with a lot of play. I'm sorry, I should have said it when you were drinking. I had that thought. But You can
Dude.
talk all that shit, but you do gotta win.
Brandon, I didn't
win.
say that. I want to make that clear.
Yeah. we're just stating that off the bat that it's his comment alone.
It was a tacoism. I believe Ryan
said that shit. And I did.
Yeah. Don't worry, Brandon. You're not alone. That Taco has a long list of enemies. So
really,
he got enemies, so many enemies. But this is more like a follow up. But there is a question thrown in the chat by a good friend, Garth. This actually you kind of do answer most. You do answer most of this question here because you do talk about with Chantry how he doesn't take it home. But has there been times where with your character when people attack you, has there been times where it really does like get under your skin? Not more like it's causing you like damage or so, but it's kind of you kind of almost question the fan base at times.
Listen,
because I do.
Yeah, well, you guys know way back when there were some battles with Action Army, and I thought a couple of times they went into personal territory, and we had our battles, and we buried the hatchet, and we've been great, and Paul and Jake and Alex and a number of people there, Kelsey, other people were very helpful to me as I was launching my channel. They're very supportive, and it was fun bantering with them on SEN, and then eventually, but yeah, there have been times where some of these comments, especially from Latino fans, those are the ones that really kind of bothered me, because when you're the only Latino doing it and who is succeeding at it, and you're a foundational piece of building this thing, to have fans from other countries or Latinos come after you in such a vitriolic way, those were really tough, and they made me angry because it slides into that trope or that cliche that all of us who are Latinos know, that there is a real inherent jealousy of other Latinos from Latinos when they're successful, and it's frustrating to see that, and it's angering to see that, because I wanted to represent. I didn't want to be something they hated. And then at times, some of those comments were just way beyond the pale. And if anybody wants to do research, go back and find those old matches, and you'll see some pretty gnarly comments at my expense from some people that just kind of, I'd stopped reading them after a while. Rachel, I love Rachel to pieces, but she would go in there purposely to find that one negative comment. And I kept telling her to stop doing that. It's not good for your mental health, but everyone's got to walk their own path, man.
I do remember one of the old matches, the IG match between Winston and Emily Rose. I remember I went back to that match like when it premiered. I was just more okay. It was a fun IG match, and then we watched it a couple months later. I'm seeing nothing but comments thrown at Winston, at Emily. That they're not real nerds, or they have no right to be here. Every part of me wanted to go at these guys and like, are you kidding me? Look, there are two. This is. So what? They're not performing at the level at the time of Mara or Rachel or of Mike or of Inman. You should be glad that you see people starting off, so that when they build themselves up, you will know you were there at the beginning, knowing how great they improved. It's why whenever I see someone new brought into the Schmoedown, even if they're only playing one match, I always like to have that great positive outlook that they come back again. They are either going to blow you out the water, or they're just here for fun. Like, I know we want to take this seriously, but also we don't want to treat this as if it's a fucking devotion or religion. All right, bro, go ahead.
Also, as a fan, you gotta I have to realize I'm not in there. I'm not doing it. I can talk all the shit I want, but I know a lot about movies. I would not hang at all. I've spent my life watching movies, but I couldn't, especially now, the way it is now.
Oh, it's so much worse now.
There's no way. And there's just, I have to, you have to just applaud anyone who's jumping in, even if they don't play well. And then we'll have people who don't play well, and then their next match, they go 100%. And, it's so armchair quarterback to just sit back and be like, oh, I knew that. Yeah, drinking a beer at your house with your feet up, you knew that. But you're not.
Yeah. Once those lights are on, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead, Johnson.
Yeah.
What would be the most challenging thing that you actually had to go through whenever it came down to Schmoedown and everything?
That you're comfortable with sharing.
I'm tired, I'll tell you the truth. I think the most difficult thing was earlier this year when one of those guys on one of those after shows accused me of cheating in a virtual match. And I remember that. I'm gonna bring it up, and I hope that's okay for me to bring this up.
That's fine.
There was a lot of stuff.
It infuriated me.
I bet.
And I was like, you piece of nothing. You fucking never accomplished shithole piece of crap. You're going to fucking come at me, you clown, you 100 people watching your shit clown. It drove me insane because I was like, why would this be allowed? And then when the person I was going to play, and I did play, started amplifying that and behind the scenes started changing whether that person wanted to play the match or not, like a coward, and never once reached out to me, never once said, hey, man, I heard this. Can we talk about it? I'm feeling uncomfortable about playing you. Never once had the guts or the balls or the stones to do that. That really pissed me off, especially because I thought at the very base we were friends. And so for him to do that was a real phenomenally difficult thing to go through. And then have his manager, who has since apologized and sincerely apologized, tweet out these accusations at our expense without having the grace to reach out to us first to talk about it. Plus, it was an accusation between me and JT. We were the only Latino team, full person of color team in there. We're getting accused by white people of this stuff. So to me, the optics of it, to me, the accusations, to me, this was sad. And to me, it was like, wow, you're so desperate to win a movie trivia match that you'll glom onto something some fool said who follows you, and then you'll concoct this nonsense. And I'm like, wow, what a ridiculous. If it's gotten to this level, I don't want any part of it, you know. And that's where I was at. And you know, it should have been a forfeit because that person pulled out of the match, didn't want to do the match, and I said that's a forfeit, and I was told I couldn't get the forfeit for it, and it was so ridiculous. And it was one of those moments where I was like, you know what, I don't need to put myself through this shit. I don't need the game that bad to do that. So it is one of those things. That was one of the most difficult things that I've ever been through.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And then finding out that person accused the question writer later on in a next match of playing favorites, it's just like, you're such a sad individual that you need to pull that kind of crap to try to.
Yeah, they probably are.
It's movie trivia. Grow up. Yeah. So.
Yeah, for real.
That's the things that does get under my skin as well, because not just last year, but also during the first time in Digital Age when that was popping up, we normally would think that whoever throws out an accusation like that, we should not try to attack a person or try to bring it up, because I remember the social media during when the whole issue with Greggio and oh my God, Atchity's match, when that happened, that was something I thought should have been squashed behind the scenes in private, but seems like a portion of the fandom really trying to make this a big story. That was a moment where I was kind of like you, Rocha, where I thought, you know what, I was going to quit from watching Schmoedown, being a part of the fandom, but thankfully somebody I know who plays in the fan leagues, he just told me, look, that's just something some guy who's jealous is going to say.
Of course.
Even I knew it was right, but it pissed me off because at the time this fandom's already this group, the fans are already gone through so many crap where a lot of insults are not thrown at you, but also thrown at so many other Schmoedown personalities, and also thrown at so many of the women personalities in the Schmoedown. Where I'm going, this should not be someone's immediate response for something that should be made important.
Yeah, for whatever I've endured, women have endured in this game way more. And so and sometimes I will ask to look at their feeds and see those comments they're getting on the DMs and stuff, and it's horrible. It's horrific what some of the women have to endure. There are plenty. The fandom, for the most part, 90% of the fandom is very positive and supportive.
Yeah.
When you go to a live event, they are all behind you. It's that small, angry, bitter minority that kind of ruins it for everybody else. And even during my Yodi speech last night, Jake Iacovetta told me that there were people leaving shitty comments during my speech during the live.
I turned off the live chat for that reason. I'm just like,
I wasn't watching.
It's pretty toxic.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I was like, you're welcome to it. I've got a channel that's growing. I've got a great group of fans. I got a wonderful girlfriend. You enjoy your fucking life. I'm enjoying mine. So whatever bitterness you need to spew out in a chat or whatever, knock yourself out because you clearly need it. I'm going to keep going with my life and being happy.
Yeah, no shit.
So that's the game.
So,
did we want to do more chat questions? Because they're
actually,
piling up now.
Yeah, I do want to squash. There is a question that we did get on our Twitter sent to us regarding Rocha, and the question is mainly besides your match against your Rocha versus Murrow match, what was your favorite match that you happened to compete in?
Oh, Dan and I beating corruption, no doubt, no question. No question. I mean, that was one of the most like. I've said this before. I was going to retire after that match. Christian had planned this whole thing where I was going to turn heel and blame the Finstock Exchange and say, you guys never were on my side and you all suck. And this is the reason I'm losing. I'm tired of carrying you guys. But my girlfriend and I had a conversation. She saw how exhausted I'd been and how much studying and how stressed I was. And losing to corruption a third time was just in the pit of my stomach after the Patriots debacle. I was like, I can't endure this again. And so flying into Orlando, studying as much as I could, and then just kind of being with my thoughts in the Uber as we drove over, and then walking into the green room, and Dan was so focused. I mean, I'd never seen Dan Murrow that focused in my experience with him and Mara, and he was just like going through stuff, and it was that I took on that energy, man. Whatever nerves or feelings of fear I had, I took from Dan his strength, and that gave me strength and my belief back. And so by the time we got on that stage, I was a swaggering dick, and I felt it. And like the height of the Outlaw being there, that's why I felt so comfortable taking pictures while Kalinowski was doing his promo. I even bumped Chance when I answered my first question, trying to intimidate him a little bit. Like I did little things like that throughout the match, and then we won. And the whole thing was A, I didn't want to lose a third time to another team, and B, I wanted to give Dan that tag team's belt that had eluded him for so long, and also, of course, give myself another title. And so that was probably my favorite situation and my favorite second match behind beating Murrow. I mean, you could argue it's almost a tie. Yeah.
But you guys had such a great, it was obvious how focused you guys were because you had that huge gap in the final round to where I was watching with some friends on Discord, like, is this going to be a TKO? Is this going to be a TKO? And then once they got that 5-pointer, I'm like, you know what? Regardless, they won the belts. Oh, of course, I had that one guy go, unless they choke. I'm like, there's no way in hell they're choking. You saw that lead. They're getting those belts.
I wanted that TKO. If only one of us knew Golden Compass, we'd have gotten that TKO. That's for sure. So, yeah.
All right. Did we want to do a couple more?
But anyone else here has a question for John before we go to another one in the chat.
I'm going to do another one in the chat.
Okay.
I'm not saying we want to keep time going, but I'm like, is there anything you guys want to ask Rocha? I mean, because I was going to go to one that Cena and Brian kind of had. It's a shared one. To where, what was your reaction when your son tackled you after the top 10 action match?
Well,
this is good.
That was staged, obviously, and it was. But I had forgotten about it, right? Because I was so focused on beating them.
Oh no!
Yeah, no, I'd totally forgotten about it because I was so focused on beating them, and that whole day I was serving as kind of one of the second in charges there, and I was shooting vignettes and shooting stuff. I was directing some of the stuff that was there. Because we had so many people, so many matches, and Christian was being pulled in so many directions. He's like, dude, if I give you a shot list, can you get these shots done? I know you've got a match, so you can say no. And I was like, no, I'll do it. It's cool. And so, that whole thing was going on. But the whole time in my mind, I'm like, God, I don't want to lose to these guys again. And then, again, Matt and I got out. Matt and I were just so focused. I mean, Matt, I'd never seen Matt focused because Matt never took it too seriously. To take on these guys, he was super pissed to take on these guys and wanted to destroy them, and that's what ended up happening. And so I was so caught up in the victory because what Christian had planned was that if we lost, obviously we were going to break up, but he had confetti hanging in the rafters, and he had two of the people who were going to walk around like cocktail waitresses with hors d'oeuvres to kind of serve to people to celebrate the death of the top 10 party. That was going to be that was the setup. So I just like, who was it that said, like, I saw the confetti in the Raptors and there was no way they were going to celebrate on my court. I forget who said that in the NBA finals, but like, that's what I saw. And so I was like, I wanted to beat. So when we beat them, I was so happy that I'd forgotten that Andrew was supposed to tackle me. And it wasn't until I saw this black blur come from his shirt coming around the corner that I was like, oh shit, that's right. And so as he tackled me, I looked back to make sure, because I didn't want to hit the corner of the wood of the stage there. And I didn't want to slam into those $20,000 cameras that we had. So when he hit me, I grabbed him and guided him down on top of me. And if you see it, he goes like almost like this on top of me because I held him so that he wouldn't push me into any of the jagged edges or the equipment. So
I was gonna say Cena did ask the same thing, but she was gonna ask if it actually or was planned. But since you've already mostly asked her, it was planned. But
it was totally planned, of course.
Yeah,
but we never practiced it.
Okay. Just wait for it on the day. Did it live.
Do it live.
I'm just glad you remembered and you didn't like bring your leg up. Like, hey, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, like, good point, right? Or let him go by like Olay or some shit.
Yeah.
But half the crowd didn't know. So more than half probably. So when he tackled me, people literally shot out of the stands. Were like, "Oh my god!" They literally thought
exploded.
It was a real fight. Yeah, JT didn't know, so he thought it was a real fight. Like he jumped up and was going to come out there and whatever. And so yeah, it was great. That was all Christian. It was brilliant. Yeah.
Guy is such a nice, he's such a nice guy. Like Andrew's such a nice guy. So it's so in real life. So it's funny that people actually would think that he's like, I'm gonna go tackle that guy. Like you think that people would be like, whoa.
Well, I mean, it just kind of shows how good he was, because I remember starting earlier on season 4, like halfway you guys were into the team tournament. I'm just watching Andrew Guy. I'm like, this is a piece of shit here. And then, of course, I learned about the Action Army. I find Call to Action, and of course, I find Action Guys. I go, oh, okay, because I'm a wrestling fan. I know the difference between the characters. But Guy at that one time, he really did get me, where I thought he was just a piece of shit on screen and off screen.
It means the heel's doing its job.
That's the mark of a good villain. That's the thing. That's why I would, if I was ever in the Schmoedown, I'd be a heel, because you can control the narrative. It's the character you create as opposed to it being fully you, and that's what I'd have, is that divide of separation. I don't know whether that's the reason why you did it, Rocha, or whether you just wanted to have some fun with it. It's also really fun to play a heel, I imagine.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to heel this year. Mm-hmm. But I mean, but I think we became such an underdog story that we kind of, we were good with the heel stuff, but people were also cheering for us because we were like, nobody expected the rookies to play as well as they did. So in the end, we became kind of a fan favorite. Then we won Faction of the Year last night.
As well deserved. Well deserved. Was there any like heel bits that you pitched that was like shot down? Anything that you were like, I want to do this, and they were like, yeah, we're not going that far.
You're gonna hit Kalinowski in his punchable face.
No, I don't know. I'm sure I had ideas through the years, Kiwi, that I pitched to Harloff, or he pitched to me, and we either shot them down or one of us shot them down. But I can't remember anything distinctly that we didn't do that I wanted to do as a heel. I mean, I think Dan and I turning heel was, I really wanted that to happen for this year, and we ended up breaking up, and then he kind of went heel anyway a little bit.
Yeah, he did towards the end, just a little bit.
Ben is a bad influence. It's hard to be Smiles when Ben's going full heel. It's hard. But I'm nice. Like, it's hard to do.
No, I think Ben can. I think honestly Ben can be heel. It's just, especially I think after, because I remember a lot of people were doing that when that one after clip with Ben and Riley breaking up. Ben does the whole.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They were excited to see that Ben back, but when he didn't show up, I remember seeing a couple of comments going, "What happened to Action Ben?" I'm like, you can go watch him on that channel, but he's not coming here in the show.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I can hold off on it. Go ahead for it.
I just got another heel question, because now being one of the first ones to do it, and I remember when then after that other people started going heel, and some people just couldn't take to a lot of the criticism. Yeah. And I don't know if I should say who it is. It's nothing bad about him, but there was somebody going, it was somebody going off on Facebook right after a heel turn, and people were firing back at them, because you're a heel now. And then it seemed like he was being super defensive. And I even wrote in the comments, like, dude, this is what you asked for. Like, you asked to go heel. we are not going to support you anymore. Like, that's the role you took. So first off, was it hard to be a heel and get that kind of anti-support when you won?
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
what did you think when other people did it and you were like, guys, you're supposed to be being booed at, you're supposed to enjoy being booed at? That's what
Well, here's what I'll say. Did it suck to not get like cheers or whatever in the comments or even in the live studio matches? Like whenever I won, there was the smattering of applause. If you remember, it was never positive until I beat Dan. Dan is the first time that people actually cheered and saw that. But until
it's
then,
a very special moment.
right? Yeah, like until then, like when I was playing Mance the second time, Sasha Pearl Raber came out and high-fived him when he spun movie release dates. And Makuga, when I was playing Christian Harloff in that match in the tournament, Makuga led these chants against me, was constantly sending cracks out at my direction. And so for the most part, it was pretty tough to be a heel and not have any kind of people. Even when I won the belt, a lot of the other players weren't necessarily coming over and hanging out and talking about it. They were like, good job, man. Great. Because in a way, they felt like, oh, it validates the heel thing now that he has a belt. So they had to kind of conform because there's always been a pushback from a small contingent of the players who are like, we don't like it. I don't want to do that. The storylines. And I always go, well, then get out of the league because that isn't what this is. If you just want to watch movie trivia, you can go to the fucking bar and watch movie trivia. There's no difference. There's nothing you're doing that is any better than anyone is doing at fucking Applebee's at 2:00 in the afternoon or 9:00 at night playing with their teams or local bar. There isn't. It's the characters and the storylines that makes the difference. And they can complain and validate their points of views all they want. That's the fucking difference. Can you have a character and can you play with that character and win matches and win titles and be entertaining? That's what separates the Schmoedown from any other movie trivia competition. And that's always going to be the difference. So when people complain, and I respect people's points of view, I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying you're not dealing with the reality of what this thing is all about. And you may not like it. No one's making you be a part of it. And we sure as fucking changing it for you because you can't handle it. That's not the way it works. And when you talk about heel, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've watched a lot of people try to be heel and bless their hearts. It's not easy. And some people try to jump steps, like, hey, Rocha got all this love. Oh, I'll be heel and get all this love. It's like, no, bro, I had to endure all the shit. I had to do the work. I had to do a best spin. I had to get tackled. I had to lose to Ellis and then eventually get to that pot. So you have to put the time in and you have to win. That's what turns people around is winning,
Right. Before we kind of wrap up here, because you did say you have an out Rocha, there is one funny question here in the chat from Garth, and he's asking, now that you have retired, is my face safe now?
Were you planning on abusing his face in some way?
No, Garth, whenever Garth shoots his mouth off, I always tell him to shut up or I'll drag my balls across his face.
Yeah.
I love Garth to pieces. He's a great artist when he draws stuff. He's great. But no, I guess I say I'm retired, so your balls are safe now, but never say never. I could always come back and then your face is in real trouble, pal.
Well, pretty much you're saying, Garth, what you're saying to Garth is be careful whenever you are on Rocha's channel, either Outlaw Nation, Geek Buddies, or when you're watching Game Time.
You got to be really careful with that threat too, because if you say to somebody like, "You watch your mouth, or I'm going to drag my balls across your face," and then they start going, "Well," you're like, "Whoa, does he really want me to?"
Yes, I would drag my balls across his face. Yes, I would. What are you talking about?
It's not an empty threat. Come on.
No, I'm saying, what if the guy is now going to do it, and then you have to be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have offered that threat."
No, because
but don't threaten if you're not going to follow it through. That's the ethos there.
Exactly. I don't threaten anything I don't follow.
No empty threats around here.
Exactly. You'll get my balls in my tape right across your face, so I got no problem with it. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Some people might like it though.
You need to instill some of that fear into somebody if they're going to understand what you're about.
I can't be part of this interview now. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
We should wrap up now.
On that note.
I got 10 more minutes. Is there any more questions? No, are we all good?
Yeah, I have one final question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You've played so many people over the years. Do you have a favorite rival that you were kept you going that you couldn't let you play again?
My favorite rival is also my favorite friend or favorite player in the game, and that's Dan. Always. There's no one else I measure myself against. No one. It's only Dan. And that's why, I although I didn't cheer for him to lose to Janine, when he lost to Janine, and shout out to her for winning Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah.
When he lost to Janine,
Well
I
deserved.
was I was like, Christian, it's got to be him somehow, some way. We got to make that happen. And Dan was very kind to agree to it and be up for it, and do it all. And so he's always been my favorite rival, because when I was chasing him, remember, I went on like movie fights and I crashed his stuff and would crash his interviews and go after him. It was great, and it inspired me to be great. Without Dan Murrow, there is no Outlaw. That's 100% the truth. You have to have someone great to battle and take down or go against. And like I said, without the Patriots, there's no top 10. It just doesn't work quite the same without a rival. There's something about it that a rival kind of elevates you and brings the best out of you. And I had a really good record against Dan until these last two matches with him, both tag teams and singles. I had a good record against him. And so he is always the guy I kind of measure myself against. And he's my favorite rival and my favorite person to play in the game always. Because his promos now are incredible. So, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, they are. If you could play an exhibition match against anyone, like anyone ever
Clark Wolf.
in trivia, okay.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
what's your reverse? Who did you always want to play against?
Clark.
Yeah,
I mean, when Clark lost to Ethan by that one word,
Southside with you. It's
Yeah.
Southside with you.
Mhm.
and no one understood better than me that situation. And I walked up to Clark to try to give her some consolation.
Yes.
And she was like, "Get away from me." And I was like, I get it. Because she was like mad that she had lost the shot at playing me. And so, I wanting to play Clark because she's so good and fierce and wily, and she would have given me a run for my money, and could have legitimately beat me, obviously. But I wanted to play her because I like the way she played the game, and it's a shame we don't have her in the game anymore. But she had her issues with the game behind the scenes and whatever, and the great ones always do. There's no great player that's been like, whatever you say, Christian, I'll do. We've all had issues and brought up complaints and saw conspiracies or jealousies or biases or favoritism. We've all done that because that's our desire to be successful, is to be the top dog on the mountain. And so that brings that out. And Clark would have been so great. I mean, the banter back and forth between us would have been just next level in terms of ingenuity.
She got in such a zone when she played that it was so cool to watch how she played, because she would just zoom. And
especially her earlier matches with Wolves of Steel, like when you can tell when there was something she was pissed off, you had to get out the way, but let her focus back in there. And Clark is definitely one of my favorites. I do also want to add that another one rivalry I did love was you and Bibiani. How you two built so well against each other, to where when you two played each other for that singles belt, I loved how even when you guys were on Clater Live talking about, is this the end of it? Who knows? Like, that was such a great storyline build of your rivalry, and I love that.
And then you guys finally got to play. It felt like it took forever.
Oh, right?
When you finally got to play
it, I loved it was for the title too, which is fantastic.
We've played twice for a title, by the way, and I've beaten them both times.
I was gonna go back to with what Ryan said of you versus Bibbs. I want to go back to, I think it was at a Comic-Con, like right when everything was first going, and you guys were still, he was still part of your faction.
Horseman,
and you said something about like, I've been grooming you and you haven't been winning. And I remember his face was like, "You're grooming me?" Like he got so pissed. And I was like, dude, Bibbs just broke character. He's gonna strangle him. Like I remember.
Bibbs' story is so great because the thing is, Bibbs came in and he was cocky. He thought, and don't let him lie to you. I was there. Bibbs was cocky. He thought the questions were beneath him. He was scoffing at the questions at times. You could hear him verbally in the audience. And to be fair, I certainly had some verbal responses to things when I was in the. If you guys had seen me in the first couple of seasons, I was an absolute maniac. Like I would run up and down. Like, how do you miss that? Oh my God. Like I was a maniac about it because I was so driven to be great at it. I was consumed by it. And so when someone like Bibbs came in and was kind of making fun of the questions, making fun of some things, to me, it felt like he was attacking the game. So I took that personal. And that's what became, because I was dedicating so myself to it. How dare you laugh at something I'm dedicating myself to? Yeah. So it became a personal thing. And and we were like, that Collider Live interview was real. That was animosity was real between us. And even when he tried to do that entrance with the singing, and I walked the fuck on out and put my headphones on, because I said, I'm not going to let him do his shit. He likes to use other people in his intros, and he's playing it like he's the nicest guy. It's trying to get under your skin. That's the crafty thing about Bibbs. Yeah. He plays like, I don't want to hurt anybody, but he's so passive aggressive in his approach to it. It can get under your skin if you let it get under your skin. And so I knew he was going to try something. And one of the people who sang that day outed what he was going to do. So I had already prepared if that was going to happen. So I brought my noise canceling earphones onto the stage on purpose. So when he came to try to sing, I was like, yeah, put my headphones on and walked the fuck on out and sat on the edge by the wall until they finished their entrance, and then I came back and played him. I was so focused for that match. And then when I won the title, if you see when I won the title, I don't jump up and down and go crazy. I just kind of sat there with a smirk because it's what I wanted. And it was Riley who was jumping all over my back. And it was later, and then I, gave that dedication to my girlfriend, who this was the first year we were going out, so she kind of was a trial by fire in getting me prepared for that match. I mean, we were buying trivia books. She was quizzing me on the weekends for hours on end. So it was
that
great.
When you declared a certain decor you were going to wear?
Yeah. All the whole night. She was great at that. And then once we won the belt, though, she was like, okay, that's it. I'm never doing that again. That was awesome. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bibbs, we've become great for like we buried the hatchet. I think after that match, my whole perception of him changed because Bibbs was such a gentleman afterwards. And then we talked and now we're friends. And in fact, when I go to my next show, which is on my channel, the Schmoedown After Show, I'm going to be playing against one of my patrons, and Bibbs is there to call the match. So it's very kind of him.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, I love Bibbs. He's one of my favorite people now, and he's a gentleman I respect very much, whose points of views on movies are incredible. Like his writing is just one of the best things you could ever read.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know we would love to keep you guys keep you going, but we do have to wrap up here. John Rocha, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, for coming on with us. I always love it when of course I love when Ben and I and a few others and John, we get to just talk about our favorite players and stuff. But it's always great just to have the players on with us. Honestly, it's hard to say in words, but it's always great just to have a great conversation. And it was great to have Jess and Taco on with us as well. While we're wrapping up, John, DiGreggio, my man, where can everyone find you?
Well, first off, I just want to tell Rocha, because of you and Matt, I actually made a top 10 show off my YouTube channel. So because of you and Matt, that's where my inspiration came from. So I just want to say that. But if you guys want to go and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unite on Facebook and also on Instagram and Pinterest as well. If you want to get an audio-only podcast episode of many episodes that I do over at Movie Lovers Unite, you guys can get that wherever you guys get your major podcast from. Of course, you guys can go on ahead and go over to – matter of fact, I actually teamed up with Two Blur Girls podcast. And if you go over to my page, we actually teamed up with Children's St. Jude's Hospital. We're doing a little bit of a charity function for them. And you can donate $5 to $10, and you also get yourself a Sensi, and that's how you guys can do that. Of course, you want to go on ahead, throw a couple of dollars our way. We understand the pandemic's actually put holes in people's pockets, but if you choose to do so, just go on ahead, go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. But you guys don't have to. Just go over there, visit our channel, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, smash that bell in the bottom right-hand corner. Let you guys know when we have something new coming out. We just dropped our Dexter interview that we did with the cameraman from Dexter. So he came in at season 2 all the way up until the end of the season. So go on ahead and check that out with Eric Fletcher. Then, of course, go over to Good Pods. Good Pods is basically social media for podcasters, or if you're someone that listens to podcasts, or if you're a podcaster yourself. Good Pods is a great way to rate individual episodes, and also, to be able to interact with us, and we can also interact back and forth with you. Then, of course, follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter, and then Movie Lovers Unit 0 on TikTok. And if you want to email me or anything like that, just go ahead and email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com.
Holy fuck!
Right.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
I'm done.
Mad rage.
That was the most he talked all night.
That's why I'm
I
saving
mean-
my voice, so that way I had to
Oh
wrap
my
up
God.
everything.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly, I would love to go to Taco Jess, but honestly, because John, you guys can always find Taco and Jess on Northern Entertainment Group. The Taco, let's talk about Star
I
Wars.
just want to say, Rocha, the Schmoedown won't be the same without you. And thanks for everything.
Very nice to meet you, Jess. Thank you so much.
Very nice
Very
to meet
kind.
you.
And let's finish it. Let's just have John. Let's have your Rocha. Let's have your wrap up just so that everyone know where you can find, and then we'll be out.
Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for having me. It was a blast. Always love coming on these shows and having conversations with the fans. It's the best thing in the world. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram and TikTok. That's right. The old man's going to mess around with TikTok. Come and hang out with me there and put some reviews and interviews. I won't be doing any dances. Maybe, you never know. But I'm just going to be doing that. And on the Twitch, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, I've been doing a lot of watch-alongs of the playoff games, the NFL playoff games. Going to do a watch-along of the Super Bowl next Sunday. But I've got a new series coming next week where I'll be doing movie watch-alongs based on movies available on Amazon Prime. So there'll be like Action Mondays, Comedy Tuesdays, Western Wednesdays, Samurai Saturdays, something else. That's Classic Sundays. So just messing around. Whatever I'm in the mood for, you can hang out with me and do a watch-along on Twitch, and we'll talk about the movie as we watch it, what have you. So come and hang out with me there. And then, of course, my podcast, The Top 10, The Cinephiles, and The Geek Buddies, all there for you to enjoy. Laura Kelly joined us, as she has for every week, of the Book of Boba Fett. We did our spoiler review live last night for episode 6. And my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. You guys are awesome. And I'm heading over to the Ultimate Showdown After Show on my YouTube channel right now. So come and join me if you haven't had enough of seeing me live there. Thanks, guys. It's a blast.
Thank you.
Let's get out of here.
Respect.
Yeah. All right. So, Rocha is gone. So, if you guys definitely want to continue watching more Rocha, go to the Ultimate Schmoedown After Show where he had just plugged. And wrapping up, I mean, you guys are going to definitely see more of Schmoedown. We are back. Hopefully, it's next week. If not, we got a lot working in the kitchen for us. Definitely Taco. You guys can find him here on the Entertainment Group.
In a couple hours. I'll be right back.
Yes, in a couple hours, you guys will find him coming back. It'll be him. I believe it's another Let's Taco about Star Wars tonight.
It's just me and Evan. Yep. We're
Stealing content.
We'll be doing a completely original idea.
All right. We'll find that. And you guys, if you guys definitely enjoyed, of course, you guys love seeing Jess on here. You guys can check out a couple hours ago with her and Double D. They were doing a good Schmoedown analytics on a couple of matches from Rocha. And as Jess just pointed out, follow her on her Twitter at Kiwi Jess. And and also check out her and Ben tomorrow for Northern Unwind. They're gonna have some great guests, some great.
Got a massive lineup.
Yeah.
Massive.
Hell yeah.
And Ben, have you finished off, my man? Because I know, just like John, you do have a lot of shows that you have cooking up.
All right, well, you guys can find me here. Normally on Getting Ready on Sundays, but we're off tomorrow. Rewind on Tape, where we're watching all the Batman movies. This week we're watching, what are we watching? Batman and Robin, I believe.
Yeah.
Oi, that's going to be fun. Oi. And,
Thanks.
what else? What?
Nice.
I saw Brendan's comment. I'm just saying thank you to him.
Oh.
Hi, Brennan. We are also here. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's all about Jess. Come on, Taco, you should know that. But yeah, check
Yeah.
her
Make out a
out.
monster. Okay.
Also,
Sorry.
everybody out there, have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Saturdays. And from your Sherpas here at Mount Schmoedown, we'll see you soon.
Bye.